Previously on Chief Concerns.
I don't have an issue with, I don't have one issue at all because, I know before every season, your goal is to be in the Super Bowl. So even in the off season, you're going to tell people, yeah, we're going to be there next year. We just left it last year, the year before. So yeah, that's our goal, is get the Super Bowl.
So like I said, when you do multiple tight end sets, then all of a sudden you can run, you can pass out of it. And so you don't become as predictable in those sets like that. So hats off to the enemy and them guys getting that thing done.
It's the corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG.
The month of June is heating up with a ton of exciting sports action, and BetOnline is where you can find it. From basketball and hockey playoffs to baseball's marquee matchups, including prop bets and futures. BetOnline has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next tip-off, face-off, or pitch, head on over to BetOnline and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Hey, welcome back to another Chief Concerns. Tonight, it's the Dunn and Dash show, and I'm here with, obviously, our former tight end, Jason Dunn, and I had to rep our guy here. I had to rep JD.
Yeah.
How to do it. How to do it.
Love it.
But I have to address an elephant in the room. Everyone knows I'm a Sixers fan, and obviously my team got eliminated on Sunday with the Game 7 loss. And Ben Simmons has been killed in the media, killed on social media. I think it's unfair. I love Ben Simmons. I've been a process guy since day one, and I think it's unfair to what's being said about him. The guy had some personal issues going on. The guy is an outstanding defender, first team all defense, a two-time first team all defense, and second place in defensive player of the year. And everyone who follows Philadelphia media, they know, they always say the greatest threat to Philadelphia athletes is the media there. And Jason, you obviously, you played for the Eagles, you played in the NFL for a long time. What kind of tell us about your history with the Philadelphia media, and what would you tell Ben Simmons if you were to talk to him today and just tell him, look, man, things are going to get better? I mean, just kind of talk about your process and when it comes to Philadelphia media and just dealing with adversity as a young professional.
Yeah, well, so I tell you what, man, I think the Philadelphia media, man, is probably one of the toughest to deal with here in the United States, without a doubt. I mean, through my experience, and like I said before, I think, LA and maybe New York, bigger markets, of course. But I think as far as, coming down on players, Philadelphia, man, is brutal, absolutely brutal. And the thing is, because, you got to realize that it's a blue collar town, that you got all those hard workers from South Philly and just, the steel workers and all those different things, man, all get into that adage part of the media coming out and talking to guys like this. And so I had, Jimmy Johnson, tight end that was with me in Kansas City. Well, I'm sorry, in Philadelphia, was telling me, he said, look, JD, he said, look, don't read any newspapers or don't read or listen to any of the radio. He said, because if you do, you're going to get a complex. I was like, wow, really? He was like, yeah. He said, man, serious, it's bad. And so, of course, curiosity gets the best of me. So I turn on the radio going home one day, and while I'm driving, they are absolutely killing us. I mean, they handed it to us, and I was like, oh my God, what? They thought this is almost like we were the opposing team somewhere. I mean, they were absolutely brutal. And so that's what you deal with, man. In Philly, man, it's hard fans, it's hard living, it's hard people up there. So they expect a lot more. They expect that. So which is, most teams do that, but they have a whole different way of approaching it. Let me put it that way. So, and I'll say this: once I got out to Kansas City, it was all tamed. I remember reading something in the paper, and some guy, maybe Whitlock or somebody, had said something, and I was like, "Oh man, that ain't bad at all." I was reading like it's like a love letter. It's like a love letter right here. Little soft punches right here. So, and you got to realize, we had, at the time I was up there, we had Howard Eskin, who was still up there doing his thing right now, and Stephen A. Smith was up there, with himself, being critical as well. But my advice to him, to be honest with you, is listen, he's a young guy, and he has a lot of pressure and expectations on him because he's a first round pick. He was dating like one of the Jenner people, or Kylie Jenner or Kendall, one of them. So that's another Hollywood type of deal. So man, he's going to have a lot of pressure on him, and eyes are going to be on him. But his performance on the court is one of those things that people's going to be critical of, right? He didn't shoot very well. He was horrible from the free throw line. But to be honest, man, if he has some loving people around him, which I think they're going to kind of address it, it's easy to dismiss people just like that. I'll get rid of this guy. He's a bum. Oh man. And like we were talking about a couple episodes before, it's tough to deal with. It's tough to deal with. And so Doc, being the type of coach that he is, it would be imperative to get him some help, whatever it may be, just mentally to deal with it, take some of the pressure off, let him understand some of the things he has to go through. Just part of, just being a professional ball. And so Ben's just got to kind of really take a step back and dissect some of the things that he's going through mentally to get past, this hiccup that he's dealing with right now. So that's my thing. Surround yourself with great, positive people. Take the pressure off yourself as much as you can. Separate yourself from basketball for a little bit and get back into the sport that you love without those type of pressures, man. Because it's hard. Once you get into your head not to do something, it's tough to get out of it. It really is. And the only one that you can do it is affirmation about, being great, being a first round pick. You're a great player. Like you said, up second in votes for Defensive Player of the Year. So he has all these great elements about him. Yeah, he needs a little work, but that's fine. You know what? Shoot, we all do. And I think that's one of those things that is important, that he is taught those things and given that message constantly from this point on.
And just you talking about that is hearing you go from Howard Eskin and Stephen A. Smith, and then to Jason Whitlock, too, probably one for different reasons, two of the more outspoken sports journalists of the last 30 years, to be quite honest with you. So that's interesting that you got to take it. You got a little of both those guys. Yeah, man.
I look at it now. I mean, really, at the time when Whitlock was out there, man, he was like a pussycat up here, man, in Kansas City, as compared to how the media was in Philly. But Whit is on a whole different level right now doing this thing. So
yeah,
that's what's getting him paid, and guys got to do the things to get them paid, of course, right?
Yep.
So that's whatever that is. So.
And another story before we get into the show is, so Travis Kelce, months ago, Travis Kelce announced that he'd be doing a tight end university with different tight ends in the league. He and what's his name? George Kittle were getting together for this, and with a bunch of other tight ends. Now, I mean, obviously, social media is much bigger now, so they can kind of push it that way. But was there kind of like something like that when you guys played? Like, you and Tony obviously were boys, so you guys did everything together. But did you guys ever do anything with other tight ends from other teams?
No. That's you know what, man? That's a great concept. It really is. And just kind of thinking about it, guys would go, of course, and go work out in Arizona, maybe Florida together. But it was a diversity of guys, right? Linemen, linebackers, quarterback. It was everybody just kind of getting their work in. But to, I guess, concentrate just being tight ends. I mean, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And I think a lot of it, what they're trying to do, for one, is, you get to see the competition that you're out there, you're performing against. I mean, as far as like, stat wise and what guys are doing to be successful. because young guys is going into it, this tight ends, man, how you not going to learn from, Kittle and of course, Travis Kelce, right? So they're going to have some great ones, man. Hunter Henry, I think some other guys are going to be into it as well. I forgot all the names, but part of, I think the deal is guys want to get in and they want to express and talk about maybe negotiations for tight ends, because to be honest with you, I don't feel, and they feel the same way, that we don't get our due as far as, what the importance of what it means to a team. And so we're kind of on the bottom rung of getting paid at every position out there in the NFL. And so regardless of how great guys are, even Tony during the time, he wouldn't get paid like a wide receiver or, a tackle or defensive end or a linebacker. It just wasn't happening. It's definitely not a quarterback. And so that was an issue. That was a problem. Because once that market is set, the teams are like, okay, well, we're only going to go up so far with this, right? Because we can. That's just going to be our negotiation ability right now. So, guys were kind of restricted on what they can do. So that was the reason, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Jimmy Graham trying to become like a wide receiver is like, well, I'm going to get paid like a wide receiver. But no, you got TE tight end attached to your name. So we're going to pay you like a tight end. So it's just like, well, I want to become a receiver. Well, we're going to say, well, you a decent receiver. We ain't going to give you receiver money. And so that was like that whole semantics of going back and forth with the craziness. So I hope these guys, man, get this thing down, because I know that's part of it. Like, look, you know what? Look, we're one of the best in the league right now, and we need to be paid like we're one of the best in the league. I'm tired of just, getting these scraps out here and say, hey, you're a great tight end, maybe one of the best in the business, but we're not getting paid as such, as compared to all the other positions. And so, hey, man, celebrate that. Hats off to them. To the tight ends, baby. That's it. Sure. Be interested. I'm going to keep up with them because I think it's a wonderful thing. No doubt. But yeah, man, it's Travis Kelce and Kittle did a tremendous job getting this thing together, putting it together, and getting some young guys out there. So good.
Yeah, and I think even since you guys played, I mean, Tony was one of the best. Him and Shannon Sharp and Antonio Gates, if you take that era, was one of the best receiving tight ends of all time. And I think the game is just so evolved so much where now it's like, he always says it on the show, Travis Kelce's a receiver. He's not a tight end. He's a receiver. And that's what he kind of says a lot of these guys. Darren Waller, he's lining up as your ex-receiver now, I mean, essentially. And, so it's like as the game has changed, and it's got to point out the pay's gotten better, but the pay scale's kind of growing for everybody. I would say running back's probably dropped since you guys played, actually. Running back used to be pretty high up, and that's dropped. But I would say tight ends has gone up, but is it to where wide receivers are? No, not close. But, I think it takes stuff like this to kind of like garner that appreciation with the tight end, and they can get this tight knit, kind of this alliance and kind of a union, really a tight end union. And, and they can, and that's what I see tight end U at university, a tight end union, really. And that can actually preach to get them a higher pay structure and a pay scale.
Well, the reality is this, man, they putting up wide receiver numbers. And the thing is, not only do you have that responsibility, but also too, you got to be inline blocking, right? I mean, guys are not really doing anything like that. You're right there by the tackle. So you got to know every aspect of the game. The running game, no doubt about it. The passing game, the protections. I mean, these are things that some guys out there on the field don't have to worry about as much. So when you take that into account, it's like, wow, these guys are doing a whole lot out here. And we are, as tight ends, we do a whole lot out there. Fullbacks is another thing that guys are doing, was getting a lot of. They don't get a lot of money for it now. And so I think the fullback position is kind of starting to transform to something different, more H-back, don't really have a true fullback. And if he is in there, he's only in for a certain amount of plays. So, but tight ends, man, hey, look, that position is not going away. You can't sit there and say, well, I'm going to get him as being a receiver. Well, who are you going to get in line blocking? Because you still need that running back to gain a lot of yards. So yeah, man, I'm glad they addressed it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a pro union guy, so I'm happy that there any kind of unions are forming. The tight end union, that's beautiful.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine those guys holding out on teams like this? You know what? You're not going to pay us. Guess what? we're gonna have all the tight ends, starting tight ends, not play, right?
Mhm.
We're gonna put some pressure on it.
Mhm.
So shoot.
I love to see the impact on that. Well, I would hate obviously to see that, but just see the impact of it because it would show teams like, look, this is a big deal. You're not going in the season with your number 2 guy.
Right. Yeah.
It's a big drop off. Obviously, we have high expectations for Noah Gray, but it's a big drop off from a Travis Kelce to a Noah Gray, or I don't even know who George Kittle's backup is. But yeah, no, it's true.
Well,
It's true.
well, the thing is now all of a sudden you talk to Noah Gray like, hey, look, this is what we're doing, okay? Because this is directly affecting your future.
Mhm.
Because if you become the starting tight end here, they're gonna try to hold this against you for not getting paid, and we didn't take a stand right now.
Mhm.
So if you don't have the first or second guy, then what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So
That's always interesting to me, just making the whole union comparison. Could you imagine if like a position group, let's say the tight end for this, argument's sake, if a tight end group, not it's usually a player strike or whatever, but a position groups actually went on strike. Because you see in recent years with the actor, the Screen Actors Guild, a lot of actors and writers and stuff were striking, and certain ones were striking, certain ones weren't. But if you have positions like, let's say, writer strike, who's going to be writing the films that we're acting out and stuff? So who's going to be blocking for you on the end line if you're a running back or quarterback? If your tight ends go for a strike, I'd be interested to see what kind of problems that would pose to the NFLPA if position groups went on strikes by themselves because they wanted to get paid more. It'd be a whole dilemma, and I'd love to see where that would go.
Definitely, that would be very challenging for the NFL. They're extremely challenging. So I don't know.
We're giving ideas to some of these guys.
Mhm.
And last quick hitter before we get to the topics of the show. Before we went on, NFL said this year they're going to allow alternate helmets, and so a lot of teams are going to be able to do their alternate uniforms this year. If I could be wrong about this, did you ever get to play in a Dallas Texan Chiefs throwback uniform? I don't think we had that when you guys were playing.
Oh,
It wasn't like 2 years after you guys left. I think it was like Matt Castle's first year where we did Matt Castle's first or second year where we did the Dallas Texan uniform.
Okay. Yeah.
How did you feel about those and always in seeing those, but obviously not playing in them, but how did you feel about playing in those?
I mean, it's a good novelty, for a couple games. Yeah, it's cool. I like it because it's a change up of things, right?
Mhm.
So that's what it's good for. But man, I just like the solid colors that we had with the Chiefs. I think always in my mind, I'm always thinking what's the name it Pittsburgh Steelers,
Mhm.
and like the B look almost looked like the prison look. Oh, I was just like, oh my God, those things are so ugly. I just
Well, those and the Packers have one where it's like navy blue and like gold.
yeah.
Ugly.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of those.
Uh-uh.
Did you ever play in the pretty green Eagles, the Randall Cunningham jerseys? Did you ever get to play in those?
No,
Ah.
never played those either. No.
Those are probably my favorite. Outside Chiefs uniforms, those are probably one of my favorite uniforms. Those green Randall Cunningham Eagles jerseys, those light greens.
I think when I first got up there, I remember seeing the uniform, and I was so happy that we moved over to like the hunter green.
Interesting.
That light green almost looked like puking a little bit. I don't know. I just something about it was just like, okay, yeah, it's time to fold these jokers up and put them up, man. But I mean, it would have been cool. Like I said, one time, might have been cool, right?
So I take it you're not a big fan of the Oregon Ducks uniforms then, if you don't like that kind of like that neon like green.
I like the neon light green, but that was like I don't know, like a forest green, I think.
Yeah, it was
a little bit lighter. Yeah, it wasn't so. The neon gives it just a little bit more
right
spark or something to it, but no.
Yeah, it was like a pistachio, like kind of mint green.
Yes, yeah. You don't want to walk around looking like a big old pistachio ice cream, right?
Oh, gosh, what would you say is your favorite uniform of all time? Like just we're not gonna get mad at you because I could see why if you like the black and silver. Black and silver is nice. It's pretty. I do like the whole like Star Wars Darth Vader kind of look.
Yeah.
Now obviously I hate the Raiders, but the silver looks nice to the black.
I tell you what, man, I used to like, I think, Chicago Bears is classic always. It's always just kind of classic. Up here, you can say it all you want to, but the Bengals, I like the Bengals look. The Bengals is like, oh, okay, they have little stripes on the helmet, and
that's cool.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just seeing, and there's certain teams that don't really have to mix. I mean, ours, we have the state of Texas on it with a little star where Dallas is on the helmet, and in the jerseys they don't have the yellow and white. It's just red. It's a red sleeve without the stripes on the side. So yeah, I mean, I like the helmet. It's cool. It's a change up. The Patriots one's kind of cool with the guy like hiking the ball. That's kind of cool. I like the red helmet for them, but yeah, there's so many cool like throwbacks, man.
Yeah.
But all right, we're gonna get into Chief concern number one. So I always say it. I feel like there's never not enough Chief news every week. We're always getting some kind of headline. This week, bad headline. But we discovered that Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark was arrested for a traffic stop. He's been arrested twice in the last few months. But this one, most recently, he was arrested for a traffic stop where the cop noticed an Uzi in the car. Like there was hanging out of the bag, I believe what it was, or allegedly. Clark has a history of legal troubles. In 2012, he was arrested for home invasion charges. And then in 2014, he was arrested for alleged domestic violence. So now it brings us to this. What are your thoughts on this and how this could impact the team? And should the Chiefs contemplate letting him go? And I'm sure this is one thing I'll ask you as a former player. When guys who have a history, are things built into the contracts where it's like, we can get out of this if you do any kind of sort of any sort of breaking the law?
Okay, man, there's a lot there.
Yep.
So my thing is this, and when the story first broke, I'm sitting there thinking like, man, why is this Joker driving around with a Uzi?
And a Lamborghini.
Huh?
In a Lamborghini.
In a Lamborghini. I'm like, where are you going? Like, where are you going right now that you need an Uzi in your car? Look, hey, if you have a legitimate firearm and you have your license or whatever, okay, fine, right? Okay, you have every right to own that gun or that device. But a Uzi, not to mention, you were just caught, a couple months prior to that, right? Of like the same, like having to conceal. I'm like, yo, what is going on? And I probably had to explore, like, man, what is happening? What are you doing or where are you going that you feel like you need these guns like that? You know what I'm saying? And if you're going home or you're going to an area that you may not want to, that you need to be in, but it's like, hey, maybe somebody I know lives over there, then you probably need to start making arrangements for them to come see you, right? Or be at a different spot. Because I can't see it in a situation that you need an Uzi for anything, unless you're like in war or some. I don't know. It popped out on me. So that's part of it. But this is a violation, of course, of the NFL personal conduct policy, right? And this is saying that being caught twice, so close apart, so close together, is going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue, coming into the season. I think they said this court date is not going to be until maybe September, October. So that's through the investigation and all those different things. It's going to take some time for the NFL to kind of come to it and of course, get into their, the committee to talk about these things, right? They're going to have a, deep conversation about, okay, what do we do about this? But because it wasn't directly related to any type of like domestic violence or none of those things.
Right.
They may be able to hold off, from, suspending it right now. So, with the pay and whatnot, or, whatever the suspension may be that comes down on it. But should the Chiefs move on without him? And everything's to be determined, right? And like I'd have to ask, like I said, like if you just got caught, and for whatever reason, you're still driving around a Lamborghini or any car with a Uzi, legal firearm, why are you doing it? Okay. Like, there needs to be some conversation here. I know he said it's his bodyguard and whatnot. Oh man. Like I said, man, needing a bodyguard and stuff like that, we probably start needing explore, man, places that you're going. So like I'm just saying, just for him, like nobody needs that. And if you need to make some legitimate changes about those things, then cool, right? And I'm not talking down to him in no regard. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be safe. I wanted to make sure that he's loving everybody he could be around, if that's the case. But doing things a different way. But I don't know if the Chiefs need to move, past him at this moment and the point, right? Until everything really comes out and they go through the whole process of, the investigation and going to court and all those different things. So it's going to be tough, man, because you just know, you never know what the verdict's going to be, what the judgment is going to be. And then they had to go with the judgment. But I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. When I heard that, it's crazy, and it's still crazy to me, but what the crazy, here's another crazy part is, I think I seen a picture of him and they had him with his hair all frazzled on, looking all crazy. And I'm like, oh man, like, come on, man. Like you gonna use that picture of him, of course, with the underline Frank Clark caught with a Uzi out here. And he's just looking all crazy. And I'm just like, yo, man, the media is messed up, man.
That's TMZ, man. TMZ knows what they're doing when they do that. That's purposely done.
Yeah, it's purposely done. Trying to make him look like an animal. He just had it in his mind. He's somewhere sweating. After the game, man, it's like, okay, you're going to catch the worst picture you could probably look to make him look like a criminal or anything else, right? I thought it was kind of sad and funny, too. I'm just like, yo, man, like, y'all wrong for that. Y'all wrong for that. So, I don't know. TMZ. Shit.
And TMZ's had the Chiefs' butt. I mean, obviously not Chiefs' butt, but they had the Kareem Hunt story that came from them. They did not release Tyreek Hill. That Tyreek Hill wasn't them, but they were the ones behind the Kareem Hunt kicking the woman in the hotel. So, I mean, as much as TMZ, I will say they do a lot of good journalism, but they're also a lot of gotcha journalism. They do. They do break a lot of stories that a lot of people are scared to run with. Right. But they throw crap at the wall and whoever sticks, they go with. I mean, they try everything. That's what TMZ does, which the problematic with them because a lot of times it's like, okay, TMZ, like, get out of here. But you keep doing that, you're gonna get something eventually.
Man, come on, salacious stories, controversy, man, sells.
Yeah.
TMZ's in the business for it, man. They are. So.
Yeah. But as far as like the whole like just the contract negotiations. Because I've read so many things online saying if the Chiefs did have some kind of, because he has a history, Frank Clark has a history, there would be maybe something in the contract, like if you get arrested for anything, we have the grounds to we could cut you and that's it. You breach contract, we get away with having to pay that amount of money he's getting, because he's getting a lot of money.
Well, I think a lot of it's kind of built in anyway. Well, because, teams have their own policy as well, besides just the NFL policy, what it may be, contradicting to a team. But I think his last things were a long ago. It was like 2012 and I think 2014. So I don't know if they was like that concerned with certain things. Maybe it was just the maturation process. They was looking like, okay, maybe we don't have to put this in the clause. Now, a guy like Dez Bryant, I'm gonna bring Dez Bryant up for instance. Dez was kind of like year after year after year, right? It was just kind of like one of those things. And Frank, because he's been in the past, I didn't even know he had got caught like 2012 and 2014. I didn't even know that about his past, right? Mm-hmm. So is that in a clause in his contract? Could be. I'm not sure. But I don't think, because I think his domestic violence was came down to a lesser charge, right? Mm-hmm. So, and we don't quite know the details of that either. Right. Maybe they do. At least I haven't looked at it. Right. So I don't know. If you do, then he's kind of screwed, man. He's kind of screwed. So
yeah. Well, I do remember that when Seattle had the whole contract negotiation things with him, and that's why they ended up shipping him off to us. It's because they were kind of scared about what was going on behind the scenes and stuff, and they were kind of just scared based on his history and then what they had dealt with, and that was kind of why they were hesitant on giving him the big money. Okay. That was what rumors and stuff. What was being the speculation before being traded. But yeah, you talk about the fact that you need to have an Uzi to go to a neighborhood. I don't know what he was doing, where he was going, but that's the thing. That's the weird thing about it. if you are going to a neighborhood where you think you need an Uzi, or wherever you're going, right? If you think you need an Uzi, why would you be driving a Lamborghini? Because wouldn't you think you wouldn't want to drive a Lamborghini if you have to use an Uzi in a specific neighborhood or wherever you're going?
Right.
I don't know.
You don't become a target, by no means by driving a Lamborghini down here, right? I mean, you're thinking about, I'm going to get robbed in a Lamborghini. Yeah. How about you just take a van or something down there? At least. Dude, don't make it obvious.
Take an Uber.
Yeah, Uber. I'm going to come down in a Lamborghini with my Uzi. I'm being funny. It's almost like Dave Justice. I don't remember, Dave Justice before your time. I know you know who Dave Justice is. But he went to a prostitute's house in Miami, and he had Justice on the back of his plates.
Oh my gosh.
Like nobody knows who you are, right? Dave Justice with Justice on the back of your plates. It's like, idiot, what are you doing? Like,
oh my gosh.
Come on. You're gonna do something like that, man. Like, know how to do it. Jeez.
Oh man. Well, that's why you watch shows like Ballers, where they have a lot of players have not only their agent, but it's like a player that kind of mentors them and kind of coaches them. Like if you if you are going to be doing like stuff like risky stuff, like, make sure you do it right. That's what kind of like, so that's crazy. It's just the story. But that's
look, and look, I'm be the first one. Look, none of us are perfect, right?
Right.
I'm just saying that sometimes though we got to make better decisions. He's got to make better decisions about what it is he wants to do on the field, and make sure that whatever the thought process is with him with the guns and stuff. Hey, look, and because they said it was kind of I think when they ran his plates, they pulled him over for like a small infraction. Yeah. So we don't even know if it's like targeting, like, hey man, look, this guy got caught with a gun a couple months ago in the safe in LA. Hey, guess what? Let's just go check. Yeah. Right. And it goes through because they know who you are. I'm telling you, I don't care where you are, man. If you're a star in the NFL and play police stations, all these, they know you. News media, they know you. And so when he came up, oh yeah, Frank Clark just got caught, drug possession, gun possession a couple of months ago. They go through there. He's like, oh, okay, let me go check again. Come on, you got to know this.
All right, so we're going to go a little later news for the week. So our next concern this week, Travis Kelce told, he was on Sirius XM's NFL channel this week, and he said that last season was a failure because, quote, it doesn't mean a thing if you ain't got the ring, end quote. Do you agree with that, with him, that 2020 was a failure for the Chiefs?
Failure in regards to winning it all, I guess you could use that. But in all aspects of it, man, I mean, they're winners. I mean, they're doing things that, they got to a place that 30 other teams didn't make it to. And so I understand you have high expectations, and to him, that's what it is. It's the high expectations of winning it all is, hey, what does Ricky Bobby say? If you're not first, you're last. Yeah. So that's what he's saying. And look, for somebody who's never been to the Super Bowl, I'm like, man, in every aspect, man, that's success. Success getting to that point, right? Yeah. But he's highly competitive. He's a highly competitive team, and especially if you have the ability and you have the pieces around you to win it all, I get what he's saying. Especially for him. So it's just like, look, man, we looking for the ring. We're not looking to get second place. We're not looking to get a pat on the back. We're not just win, a few games or just get to the playoffs. We got the ability and the people in here to win it all. We already done that. And we got here this year and we lost. So to me, it's a big failure, right? Because everything that you're doing during the off season, all the hard work, everything you put in the effort in is to win that ring, to hold up that Super Bowl trophy. And so absolutely, that to him, he's like, look, this is it. This is what we're going for. This is, we're the best in the league. We think we're the best. We know we're the best. This right here. If you ain't got the ring, we ain't win the thing. So I get what he's saying. But in reality, them jokers are successful, man. No doubt about it. So great team out in Kansas City right now. Our hats are off to them, man. We enjoy watching them play. And we're going to keep holding them guys up, man, as much as possible. So, we got his back. Back.
Well, and I think the thing that you kind of hinted at, a lot of players don't get to go to a Super Bowl, let alone win it, let alone go to back-to-back Super Bowls. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's obviously it comes from a place of competitive spirit and also privilege for the fact that he won one and not going to one and not winning one. That is a failure because I tasted it and I want to keep tasting it. It's
yeah. I mean, once you become a winner, it becomes infectious, right? It becomes a habit. And so it's like, that's my expectations. My expectation is to win it every single year, right? So I get it. I get it. But, it's just like you said, it's a competitive spirit, man. That's all that is, right? Yeah. Can't be mad at him. Can't be mad at him for it.
Not at all. And the fact that we have a guy like that in our locker room who's a leader to a lot of the young guys, that it's nice to have a guy like that because, like anything short of winning a ring is not good enough in that locker room. And that's going to put pressure on a lot of young guys. But, you're going to a team that's gone to three straight AFC championship games, 2 straight Super Bowl appearances. So, like, they kind of have to, kind of live up to that. And these guys can want to continue doing that. So that's their goal to win it every year. And you know what? We're not complaining.
Right. That's 100% right there.
Yeah.
So that's true. That's good to have. Like you said, that pressure on it and expectations. That's good to have.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing I will say is, like, talking to you and Eric, you guys never got to taste the Super Bowl feeling. So it's like, to each his own, right? One person could say, "Oh, that's a failure." One person could say, "No, you know what? I didn't get the ring, but I got to the pinnacle game of where every player plays to get to, where every kid dreams of playing." No one ever says winning the Super Bowl. When you're a kid, you say, "Oh, I want to play in the Super Bowl someday." No one ever says winning the Super Bowl. It's, I want to be able to play in the NFL someday. And then once you get to the NFL, you're like, raise the stakes a little bit. I want to be able to play in a Super Bowl. You get the check mark. So, like I said, it's the competitive nature, but it's also a little bit of that Super Bowl winning ring privilege that he's got now.
Yeah, no. Hey, like I said, man, once you become successful, man, it's hard, not to shoot for that. To be the best when you were the best, and you feel like you still are the best. So if you underachieved, then we got something to work toward. So great motivation.
Yep, and I'm glad these guys are still hungry, and hopefully we can get to 3 in a row and get 2 out of the last 3.
Right. Yeah, not comfortable. Comfort. Hey, man, that's a bad place to be sometimes. You come to, we good. Where we at? We successful. We had it. Oh no, Oh, we want it all. Oh, all or nothing. All or nothing, baby. All or nothing.
Great. It's a great way to be. It's a great way for like a guy like we mentioned Noah Gray earlier. A great situation for Noah Gray to be in, a guy behind a guy like that who prepares himself every week to get to get to the ring. It's not that Sunday. It's the following Sunday. It's the Sunday after that. It's the Sunday in early February that he wants to win. So it's like it's great to follow in the footsteps like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for you it would be Jimmy Johnson as that tight end who is your driving force and mentor, right?
Right. That's right. And Jimmy, did he? I don't know if Jimmy won one. He was with the Redskins when they went.
In the early 90s with
with like
Rippon?
91. Then they went at like 91 or something.
Well, they went with Doug Williams, and I think Rippon was after that.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Might have been Rippon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. I saw some Chief fans were upset by him saying that, but like, I mean, are you really, is that, it's great. We're better than teams like the Raiders and the Chargers and Broncos who haven't sniffed that. Well, Broncos have, but the Raiders and Chargers who haven't sniffed the Super Bowl in a long time. But are we really want to compare ourselves to the bottom of the AFC West? No.
Right. Well, so it's almost like, your parents is like, hey, you know what? Like, you did a good job. Like, don't be mad at that. Hey, you don't have to be upset with that at all. You did a great job. You gave it your all. It's like, nah, I wanted it all. I wanted to win. Everybody's sour about losing, right? So, nah, man, keep that edge. Keep that edge, man.
All right. So our last concern for the night, it's a good thing for the sports world, not just the NFL, the sports world. This week, Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib became the first active NFL player to come out as gay. And, I'm sure there's been, NFL's been around for so long. I'm sure there's been a lot of guys who've been in locker rooms, and I'm sure their players probably knew they were gay, but, not actively. And the fact that Carl Nassib came out publicly and is open about it with an Instagram video, that was awesome. And kind of the feedback he's been getting since has been amazing. Since then, his jersey's become the top selling jersey on Fanatics. So it's every sport. It's the top selling jersey right now. But as former NFL player, what is the significance of seeing a guy finally come out and as an active player coming out publicly? I mean, what is the significance, JD?
Significance, and I think for him is, representation matters. That's the significance of it. And so him coming out, living his truth, to everybody was what was important to him. And for him to, like I said, that representation of, his community and what he believes, he feels in his heart, was something that is important. And so I remember it was talking about a foundation he gave money to. I think that, helps with, young teens that go through. And so that's a good thing. If it helps, keep anybody from being harmed doing those things, man, you can't just be happy, more than happy on something like that. So just as a former player, I know guys are accepting of these things, right? They really are. And that's a good thing, because sometimes we just need conversations. We need to have great civil discourse and talk about these issues that go on, that plague guys. And I know if anybody is being talked down, ostracized, ridiculed, or treated in a different way because they're different, whether it be their sexual orientation, then that's wrong. That's wrong. But the reality is this, okay? And this is kind of had a talk about it, because I'm like, okay, well, good. He came out and he said that he's living his truth. Now the question goes, is anybody else doing that, right? Is anyone else doing that? Is he making it more comfortable to have these conversations in the locker room? And then two, guys that we know were coming out a little bit later, after, they got finished playing. And it's been said that, guys, is usually like one or two guys on the team are usually, may identify, as being as homosexual or whatever, right? And so he's opened up the door, I think, for the conversation, for guys to come in and talk about these things. Because here's the reality. I know he's getting an outpour of support, and gratitude, which he should. On the flip side of it, there's going to be people that don't like it, that's going to have issues with it, who don't understand it, and may not support it, right? And I think those people needed to have a conversation, to talk to him about whatever issues that you may have, and come with love and grace. So everybody's on the same page and understanding. Because sometimes what it is, man, it's just fear. People have fear all the time of things they don't understand or they don't know. Yeah. And that's the problem. That's the issue. And so we got to do a much better job of loving each other, having loving conversations, and conversations coming from a great place to say, look, man, I don't know what this is. I don't understand it. Because that's the reality. Some guys in the locker room is not going to like it. They're just not. And so I think it's important, for him, the organization, for the NFL to have these conversations and these issues to talk about, right? Because the questions are going to go into, well, okay, well, what are we going to do now? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? And the thing is, like, look, man, his sexual orientation has nothing to do with what he's going. Is no bearing on what he's going to do on the field. Like, it ain't going to change any of his sacks. You know what I mean? It's not going to change any of his tackles. He's going to be out there a better guy. So it doesn't matter, his choice is what he's deciding to do. He's going to be the same ball out there on the field. And that's what needs to be understood, right? Hey, look, he's living his truth, he's living his life. So be it, right? You accept him. You love him. He's going to be your teammate. You love him for him being your teammate, right? As opposed to who you might think the guy is and whatever else he's doing. That's not, and I get sometimes people's like, well, why did he come out and say this? Like nobody else expresses their sexual orientation, right? Well, why has he got to say it? I don't really care about these things and I don't need to talk about it. Well, maybe this is something he was holding on. He felt like he couldn't really move forward with these guys by saying like, look, maybe I'm doing something that might be, he may feel is not himself, not his genuine self, or maybe somebody he's not organic with his teammates, and he feel like he might be lying about who he is, right? What a lot of us do anyway.
Yeah.
And so him coming out saying, look, I got to talk about this, because I don't want to, alienate anybody else, and I don't want to feel alienated about this. So it's good to come out. I heard a quote the other day by James Baldwin. James Baldwin's a great writer, African-American writer, and wrote several books. And he said, which was so profound, was I told people that I was gay so they couldn't use it against me. So somebody couldn't say behind my back, hey, I see James over here doing this, right? And try to use it as a weapon against me. So my thing was, I told people who I was. And you ain't got to go behind my back and try to tell me who I am, because I told you who I was when I came out. And so I'm giving you this to accept me for who I am. And then you deal with it from that point in that regard, right? And the problem might not necessarily be me, it may be you. And so I thought that was so profound. I was like, wow, that's a great way of saying it. Just kind of, hey, look, have these conversations, talk about these things, right? So even if guys may be uncomfortable about it, this is such a great topic to talk about, these societal things, that you can get an understanding and have these conversations. It's not saying you have to agree with everything. Look, hey, he's still the same guy. I'm out here playing defensive end. I got my number on my jersey, right? I'm going out here to win the game like you trying to win the game. So, man, look, we just got to do a much better job, man. Like I said, of loving one another, accepting one another, and saying, look, I'm gonna celebrate you for who you are as an individual and as a person, okay, as a football player, and I'm gonna love you because of that, right? So that's the important part, talking points of these things. And like I said, man, representation is key. It's important. Yep. Representation is key.
It's one of those things too, like you talk about living your truth, and that's what he made mention of. It's it's like one of those things. It's these guys. You guys go out and play. You're with your teammates all the time, right? And you might actually it might translate on the field where he's not wearing this on his shoulders all the time. And it probably wasn't bothering him to this extent. But you never know how it can mess with the psyche. We talked about it earlier with the Ben Simmons situation. Now that it's gone, he said that, like, hey, it's out in the open, it's public, no one can use it as a weapon against me. I don't have to live a lie anymore. I can just go out and be myself and just play football. Right. And who knows? That could be a translate on the field. That's obviously not the reason why he did it, but who knows? That could translate on the field for not living a lie anymore, just being his free self. He can just ball out now. Right. And you talk about representation. I love that because it's. Same reason why as a kid, I idolized you, I idolized so many players growing up, and I'm not gay or anything, but it's one of those things where now kids in the LGBTQ community, kids growing up and stuff, they can actually see a player where it's like that. I want to be like Carl Nassib, I want to be able to live freely, be myself, come out to my parents and let them know, that I am gay or whatever it is. But right. He's that figure now for a lot of these kids that they can grow up wanting to be like a Carl Nassib. It's like I can be a football player. I don't have to be the straight macho kid to go to the football weight room in the locker room with my buddies. No, yeah. It has nothing to do with that. If I just can be my free self, I could go. I can do that stuff. And who knows? I don't know the numbers on this stuff, but who knows how many kids probably did play football maybe their freshman year, but being in a football locker room, it's a pretty. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure.
Challenge, right? And here's the reality: is it's a challenge for everybody.
Yep.
So straight, gay, it's a challenge for everybody. And I think that's why I say it's very important to have these conversations. Where you can at least talk about these things, right? is this going to have any bearing on me playing out here and me making sacks? No. All right, well, shit. Hey, come on in. What's the deal? Right? So, and like I said, man, people have their thoughts and opinions about, whatever, the lifestyle, whatever they think, and his choices. It's everybody's choices in life, right?
Yep.
Everybody's going to have an opinion about it one way or another. My thing is, does this do anything to his ability on the field to do his job, or affect and not for you maybe not to like him or love him because of that? That's the question with me, right?
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Christian. I live my faith freely, right? And testify for that. And my thing is, I'll say that we got to be loving, right, to everybody. If I'm espousing, who my Savior is, about loving and accepting people, then we got to have this talk and this conversation. We got to do it love and with grace. We have to have these conversations, right, to understand these things. Now, we could go into, what, things say in Scripture. That's a whole different conversation on things, right?
Yeah.
If I'm just looking at you and just like, if I'm just looking at you and I don't know that you're gay or whatever, I can't sit there and say, I'm gonna hate this person because of that. That's the ignorance that people have. It's the same thing like with color or gender, being a male or female. Like you were saying, look, you can still be the macho guy, right? Yeah. You can still be the macho guy. Shoot, does it make you a bad person? Yeah. No. So let's just, we got to have a conversation about those things. And I think having a conversation is important.
Yeah, and I think in this whole Carl Nassib situation, like you said, whether you're whatever side of the table you're on when it comes to this,
right?
He's gonna make, by him coming out, and as amazing as that is, it's gonna allow other players to maybe want to do this. But regardless of that, it's gonna make people have the conversation now. Where Michael Sam, when he came out, coming out of college, I mean, everyone had the conversation at that point, but this guy is he's a starting DN. He plays. I mean, the guy. I think he was a first round pick out of Penn State, I believe. And it's going to make people have this conversation.
I think it was third round. I think
third round.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's gonna make people have these conversations now that he said this, and quite frankly, maybe a lot of conversations people have avoided for such a long time, and now that's once it comes to the forefront now, and maybe other people come out in 5 years' time. This won't be a story anymore that guys will be coming out publicly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, and in reality, it's still going to be some people that are not like it, right?
Of course, yeah.
Whatever way, I mean, it's just, that's the world. That's just how things are. And like I said, the approach, I think, it has to be like some understanding. And then look, and I'm going to say this, okay? I'll be completely real with this. Grace and understanding and awareness has to come from both communities, okay? When I say that, I'm saying even with the LGBTQ community, they still have to understand that people have to understand these things as well. Like we got to meet, in the same sense right here in the middle with things, right? So it can't be like, oh, well, if you don't like him and it's gay, you being homophobic and stuff like that. Like, no, wait a minute, hold on. Because everybody has a thought process, right? And they way of life. So there's got to be awareness and understanding, man, to have these, like I said, man, these conversations are necessary. It's necessary. So I don't think that somebody goes in and somebody beats them over the head because they're like, well, they don't like it and stuff. Well, it ain't about them liking it. It's about what he brings to the table on the team, right? There's some things everybody ain't gonna like, I'm sure, about me. I don't know why. I'm a good guy.
You're a great guy, man. If anybody has anything to say badly about you, they can go kick rocks.
But I think it has to be graceful conversations, right? And I think is so important, right? That you don't just vilify somebody because somebody thinks differently from you, right? Or have a different opinion. I don't think that's not the right approach. It's just not, especially these things that are so sensitive, right? In society today, that you just have to have these conversations, man. And it's just, things are just so volatile now, man, in this world, man. It's amazing to me that we're not doing a much better job, loving each other like we should. It really is. So that's my take on it, man. I don't know. I just, me. I'm about, loving my fellow man, human beings, regardless of differences. Look, hey, we all fall short, of the glory. Are we just trying to get there and become better people? That's what we're trying to do every single day. How about we do it together? So
I'm 100% with you, man. You and I have talked a lot on the side about just our beliefs and everything. You and I are right there together, man. And the last thing I'll say on this is I will say, like, it feels to me where we've kind of gone in a very, like, in a more accepting overall, like, when it comes to this topic of the LGBTQ rights, Pride Month, and that's another thing. He came out during Pride Month. And it's another thing in there that he why he did it this month. But when Michael Sam came out, like, what was it? I don't know how long ago it was. I was literally on ESPN's Top Ticker. Is there a problem? Like, I remember First Take was talking about all the hot take shows had segments at lengths about it. I don't even think I think the day Nassib came out with it, it was a topic for a little bit, but it wasn't as overblown as the whole Michael Sam thing. It's becoming it's more normal, and people are accepting it more easily now. It's not being this like, oh, would you agree with this? It's more just like, oh, Carl Nassib came out of the closet.
Right.
That's it. And that's the thing. I hope we can all have conversations and we can all kind of accept each other and just be good people to one another, regardless of the race you are, regardless of the creed, ethnicity, gender, all that stuff, man.
Right. That's right. Amen to that. Amen to that, Marcus.
Amen to that. I don't have a bottle of water with me, but amen to that.
Nice cold sip, man, on that sentiment right there. Cheers to you, brother.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that does it for us. It was kind of an action-packed show with everything tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Chief Concerns presented by BetOnline. As always, if anyone at Chiefs Kingdom has any Chief Concerns for Jason Dunn or Eric Warfield, one of my two faves, please tweet at us at ConcernsChief. And please subscribe and follow Chief Concerns on YouTube and the Believe Podcast Network or anywhere you can find podcasts. And if anyone wants to be a guest on our show, drop us a DM on Twitter or email us at chiefconcerns@yahoo.com. And we'll see you next week. Jason, good one, buddy.
My pleasure, brother. Good seeing you, man. All right.
See you too, man.